If you want to pummel the competition like Gravedigger always has, you're going to have to do us a solid and hit that subscribe button, or else you'll find yourself 6 feet under.
Good evening and welcome to the latest exhibition at the Audrain Automobile Museum, Retro Ride Wonderland. This exhibit, which will be going through the holiday season, including Thanksgiving and Christmas holidays, all the way through to the middle of January, really is going to be showcasing the collectible cars that are a childhood dream. If I was a child, I would be as happy as anything to be coming to this exhibit. There are cars of all sizes, collectible toys, as well as go-karts and replicas of the cars that you would often expect to see at the museum at a normal exhibit. This really is a childhood's wonderland, and we look forward to sharing it with you. And now we're going to be joined by my colleague, Ben Chester, who's going to give a brief overview of the cars and go-karts that are on display.
Thanks, Nick. We're here in our race corner right at the entrance to the gallery. Show's come along really well. We're just putting the finishing touches on it as we put this video together. I want to thank all the volunteers who helped us put this show together this week. There were a lot of moving parts, so thank you all for that. We've got a lot of great stuff in this corner, as you can see, off camera right here that we'll show you. We've got a 917-30 Porsche go-kart, I guess you could put it. This was a custom build by a gentleman. He used this car to pull his real 917 around the track, and it's very close to scale, so get a good look at this. When you come in the room, off to the right here, we've got Niki Lauda's F1 car, which is very authentic. The front wing, rear wing, steering column, everything looks very period, along with the livery on it. That is really cool to see in person. Behind me here, you see the Jackie Ickx, Derek Bell, Porsche 936, which mimics the car that won Le Mans back in 1981. There were just about 100 of those produced. Very special thing to have in person, as that's a real authentic Porsche part with a manual transmission, by the way. So get a good look at that. Over here in this quadrant, we have a few midgets. This small one here, the red one, is a quarter midget by Walborg. That was a very expensive item back in the period. Very cool to have that next to a real midget racer, which would have been far from a kid's toy, but very cool to see the proportions of it and the scale of it. But this was a very popular racing series in the period, and you'll notice that one of the rear wheels is knobby and one is not, to get grip while you're sliding on the dirt. And then behind me, directly behind me, you see the quarter midget kids ride, which mimics something you might see outside of a Toys R Us back in the day, but they took an actual quarter midget and put it right onto the machine and then had it bounce around with maybe a quarter or a nickel put in there, with the engine still in it, which is really cool to see. But a lot of great stuff as you walk in here. It's different shapes and different sizes. And we'll take you around the museum as we go. Stay tuned. All right, well, I just finished the test drive in one of my favorite cars in the show, and can confirm it's actually as fast as the cartoon was back in the day. But this is Speed Racer's personal vehicle. This was an iconic car back in the 60s. This was a Japanese anime that a lot of episodes were produced for. This is really an iconic car, almost like Batman's vehicle. It's instantly recognizable by many across the globe. A company built 5 of these, 2 a smaller scale, and they use a 160cc engine, which is actually 3 times the legal limit for someone needing a motorcycle license. Over my shoulder here are 2 very well-built gasoline-powered kids cars. You see the blue Shelby Cobra along with the red Ferrari next to it. These are very well built with 3-speed automatics. These have a number of really accurate pieces that add up to a very nice build. The wheels, you see the suspension on it. the exhaust tips, the gauges, the steering wheel, everything about it makes it a really cool piece to observe in person, and if you're a kid looking to maybe do donuts in something because they're so fast. And in the back, you might notice a bit of an odd duckling. That is the Tinker Tantrum built by artist Pippa Gardner. They actually donated that to the museum a few years ago. This is a cycle car, you could say, that's built out of a canoe and definitely has a weird vibe to it, but for me as a cyclist, I would love to use this as some sort of training mechanism on 4 wheels. There's also a number of pedal cars behind me. Some are really authentic, some are new builds, built like old builds, but we'll take a look at those as well. So behind me now, we're looking at Pedal Car Mountain. We've got a number of great pedal cars here on display of all shapes and sizes. My favorite over here is the 190 SL Roadster, which is a bit slower than the real one, but is a period item, which is really cool. There's a number of different things over there to take a look at. Over here on my left is the very special and very sought after Austin J40. If you're familiar with the Goodwood Revival, Goodwood hosts a pedal car race during their event every fall. The Audrain has a great partnership with Goodwood and obviously encourages everyone of all ages to get into cars and get absolutely inundated with the car world. And what better place to start than a pedal car race with one of the best pedal cars in the world. But these cars are now so special and so sought after. People are paying thousands of dollars for them because there are just very few left. They are now making reproduction models, but they are just simply not the same as the original. So we are proud to have an original one on display. And off far to my right is one of the most special items in this room. This is a reproduction of the original baby Bugatti that were made by Bugatti in the 1930s. These were also electric and modeled after the Type 35 back in the period. In the photos on the wall, you'll see Ettori's son Roland, who was modeling for the baby Bugatti right before they took him to the Paris Auto Show. So they were shown out to the world and obviously sold out and were very popular. So this reproduction is also electric. Even though this is a reproduction, it is still a very valuable item, and there's a lot of different aspects to it that are worth studying when you come in the gallery. All right, so now we're in what I'd like to call the they don't make them like they used to quadrant. I'm sitting on the Tesla Cyber Quad, of which they made 2 sizes. This is the smaller size for kids 12 and under, and then they made a bigger size, which does go a bit faster. This is electric and kind of resembles the Tesla Cybertruck that we all know and love. And next to it is a Rupp Dart Kart, as it's called. This has a twin-engine McCulloch drivetrain. This is not exactly a kid's toy, but goes nearly 80 miles an hour when tuned properly. Both the engines work together with a centrifugal clutch, and the brakes, I can tell you, are not as good as the acceleration is. Over here to my left is the Italian Stallion corner. This is a 250 Testarossa, closest to me. This is actually a 2-seater gas-powered cart, which has a lot of oomph. You can see this in one of our YouTube videos along with the Porsche 917 that I mentioned earlier. That is a really cool thing with some very accurate pieces to it. And next to the Testarossa is what is, in my opinion, the most well-built vehicle in the room. That is an Allegretti, and you'll see on the front that it has a Maserati badge on it. But most cars of this size have something like a 1-cylinder lawnmower engine, but this with a 4-cylinder in it gives it plenty of propulsion and probably can get it up towards of 30, maybe even 40 miles an hour. So something you wouldn't want to trust your 5-year-old with. In front of me is a very cool soapbox derby car. These were built as downhill racing vehicles with very low friction and very small wheels. They were decently aerodynamic considering they were built like a folder. And going down a hill, it was a bit dangerous, but people race these down in local events like even here in Newport, there was an event here hosted on Memorial Boulevard downhill towards First Beach. I wouldn't want to be in one of those, and this thing does not have brakes, so I would not want to be caught doing 40 miles an hour on a 10% grade down the hill. So very cool to have that with us as well. All right, so we're here with our last setup with our favorite monster trucks. This here is Bigfoot. The original Bigfoot was a bit bigger than this. It was absolutely massive. It was built using wheels from the Latorno Overland train, which was used in the Arctic Circle. So we'll show a picture of that. Absolutely massive thing. This is powered by a 1-cylinder, and I actually got in it to do this shot and was a bit buried in it, but we've had a lot of fun with these running around. This is Gravedigger. Gravedigger is the greatest Monster Jam monster truck of all time, and essentially buried all of the other monster trucks in the series. This was the biggest and the greatest, and is now really the most iconic Monster Jam vehicle. So we're really happy to have these two behemoths here with us. There's so much stuff in this show. We would have a 45-minute video if we went through it all. But of course, like every year, we've got our amazing train set that our friend Marvin has put together for another year. Check that out while you're here. We've also got a nice kids activity center on the other side of the museum. We've got our slot car track back up and running. We've really wanted to bring the holiday spirit around and get every aspect of automotive enthusiasm in here that we could. But come in and see us. We really appreciate you guys watching this. Thank you to all of our members who have supported us this year, and we will see you for the next one.
Thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you here in the Audrain Automobile Museum in the coming weeks.